I'm Sam.
And this is Gabe.
And this is Coaster Wars.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coaster Wars podcast, where if we're not 1 week early, we're 2 weeks late. We are back, though. Guess what? We're back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're not 2 weeks late. We're only 1 week late. So
well,
there's that.
But technically, we should have had this recorded already and ready.
Yeah.
For release, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. We're just sticking to our motto. If we're nothing else, we're consistently inconsistent. But we have a fun episode for us today.
Yes, we do.
This is a listener's episode from a listener named Desi. She said we could shout her out in the episode. And kind of like the last one, she gave us a couple different ideas for potential episodes. And we decided to go with best inversion.
Well.
Yeah.
Well. Okay, let me put it this way. Also, did you ever check to see if anybody guessed what my coaster was for this episode or not? I don't know.
No, I never did.
You should look quick, just to see. I doubt it. Like,
okay, should I look
before? Yeah.
Let me check the email first. Let me see if anybody emailed us. Hold on, everybody.
Hold your horses.
Right. Okay, I don't see anything in the email. I could check our Facebook real quick to see if anybody commented on there.
If it wasn't in the email, I doubt someone.
Yeah, I was like, I get notifications for the Facebook page at least on my phone, and I don't think I saw anything.
But anyway, so the coaster that I have been bringing to this battle is not necessarily okay. So same thing with the whole best first drop is I could just plug in Iron Gwazi for a lot of these spots.
Yeah.
And it would just take over this whole entire podcast. I don't want to do that. And then there's a few other coasters that I have obviously hyped up, but we've kind of already talked about them a little bit, either in a previous season or a previous episode. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to pick a coaster nobody probably knows about. And we're going to do it on that one, because it does have two very, very good inversions on it. So
yeah, and mine. So Gabe has clearly what he calls his favorite inversion, and I have a lot of elements on rides that I like, but I was trying to figure out what the heck to do for this. And I do remember specifically getting off this ride and looking at Gabe and going, what the heck was that? So this one's a lot of fun. And so I picked one inversion on this ride, but it has several. And just the whole ride experience in general is really cool with this roller coaster and how it feels going through the inversions, which is something I haven't experienced on any other roller coaster. So with that, Gabe, you want to introduce our fighters this week?
Yes, I can do that. In the right corner, standing at a max height of 96 feet and reaching a top speed of 41 miles per hour. Hailing from the far fields of Indiana and the S&S gym, it is Steel Hog. In the blue corner, standing at a max height of 82 feet and reaching a top speed of 50 miles per hour. Hailing from the trees of North Carolina and the Mach Lights gym, hitting Copperhead Strike. Let the fight begin.
So this week, I'm bringing what's kind of maybe a little bit of a family coaster. It's not a super high-intensity machine, but it's a lot of fun.
Didn't you yell at me when I called it a family coaster? Hold on. Wait a minute.
It is definitely on the more intense side of being a family coaster. But yeah, Gabe's like, this is a family coaster. It's not really anything to worry about. Then we got off it, and I was like, that's not a family coaster. So
technically speaking, it is. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a smaller coaster. It does have launches, but it doesn't launch you quite as fast, and it does have inversions, but they're not super crazy intense things. It was a lot of fun to ride. And then once we actually get into the coaster, I'll explain what it freaking does in those stinking inversions, because that's was really wild when we rode it.
Yeah, it's interesting too. When I was reading off the stats for this, the fact that Steel Hog is actually taller Didn't realize that. Never really didn't really process that one. But Steel Hog is a very, very random roller coaster located at a tiny amusement park in Indiana, known as Indiana Beach Amusement Park. Now, we have mentioned this place before, but more for a coaster of wooden perspectives, the Lost Coaster Superstition Mountain. However, this is actually the first coaster we rode that day when we went and visited this park.
Yes.
Also, the first coaster that Sam lost her phone on.
Yes.
2 cell phones on the same trip.
Yes.
So, Steel Hog is just a very, very weird, wacky, kind of oddball coaster that, not a lot of people know about. However, it does have one of the best inversions, one of my favorite inversions, and that is its dive loop. It is when they call these things the El Loco models, it's very fitting. Fitting.
Yeah. Do you want to get into Steel Hog first then? Or
Yes, we can dive into the Steel Hog. So this coaster has like I said, a max height of 96 feet, a total track length of around 1,200 feet. So it's not a very long ride experience. It's not a very impressive ride experience, and it's not a stat monster. However, its dive loop is one of the most unique and interesting inversions that you can probably ever experience, just for the amount of hang time that it is capable of producing. This coaster does have kind of a fun story. So we rode it 3 times, or was it twice?
We rode it twice at the beginning, and it was the first coaster we rode. So if we went back and rode it again, but I don't think that we did.
I think we did, because I liked it so much.
Okay. So I remember riding it twice right away.
Several times, though, to find your phone, I thought. I thought it was more than twice.
Because we could see it from the fence.
Yeah, but I thought we rode it first.
Well, maybe we did. You shouldn't be asking me. You already know I have a terrible memory about these things.
Well, the way I remember it is we got to Indiana Beach, and specifically to ride the Lost Coaster Superstition Mountain. And being aware of that roller coaster's mechanical problems, we headed straight to that roller coaster just to find out it was closed.
Yep.
And now the other kind of weird thing about Indiana Beach is not all the rides open at once. So obviously they have their opening time, but it's kind of weird because they kind of do all of their testing separately and stuff, and they don't just open all of the queues at once. They just kind of open them once the roller coaster or ride is ready to open. So we're literally we get over to Lost Coaster Superstition Mountain, we're well, it's closed. So we walked over to, is it the Cornball Express or whatever?
I think so, yeah.
And then we walked over to another one, closed. So we ended up walking through the entire length of the Indiana Beach Amusement Park until we got to the back, which is where Steel Hog is, or by the second entrance, technically speaking. And it was the only thing open. So we're well, I guess we're going to ride this thing first.
Right.
And we got on the roller coaster, and it was so much fun, and there was nobody in the amusement park. Well, let's just ride it again. And then that's when Sam proceeded to lose her cell phone.
Yes, I did. I was so mad at myself. I can't believe I did that. And it was the first park of the trip. It was the first roller coaster of the trip. I was not thinking. My brain wasn't there, apparently. So it was so much fun too. And it was funny because we came around and we're just oh my God. And like Gabe said, there was nobody in line. So we're just looked at the operators and we're can you just send us again? They're yeah, sure. Click those restraints back down, and through we went. And I'm trying to think of where the heck it was that I lost my phone, but I do think it was on the corkscrew before the dive loop. That is where it fell out, because that's so slow when you go through there. But I could be wrong.
I thought it was on the first drop.
Oh, maybe it was. I honestly don't remember very well, and we never got the phone back, so.
Yeah, because the first drop's 111 degrees. It's actually a pretty steep first drop. it like kind of throws you out of your seat. So that's where I thought it happened at, was basically like the first trip around the track kind of loosened the phone from your pocket. And then when you got thrown out of your seat on the first drop the second time is kind of when it launched out of your pocket. At least from what I remember. Also, the dive loop is before the inline twist, not after. So.
Oh, I just watched POV. I thought it was after.
No, I thought the dive loop was the first inversion.
Well, maybe what I'm thinking of as the dive loop isn't the dive loop then.
Maybe. I don't know.
Why don't you go through the layout then and prove me wrong?
Let's go. Okay. Well, no, this is where I get to embarrass myself. So this roller coaster starts with a 180-degree turn out of the station, which sends you directly into the lift hill, which then clicks you all the way to the top of the 96-foot tall height. You then get to the top of this roller coaster, and you go over like a small pre-drop, and this sends you into another 180-degree turn in the other direction, which is kind of just like an elevated turnaround before dropping into the initial drop. And this is where I was talking about, where it's like 111 degrees. It's a very actually like ejector filled first drop. Very, very good. I actually really enjoyed this first drop. It's kind of violent too. This roller coaster has like obviously it's an S&S and it uses modern roller coaster design and stuff like that, but it has a little bit of like aero jankiness to it, if that makes sense. Like
it really does.
Same feeling.
Because when you look at it, it reminds me a lot of like one of the like the mousetrap rides, because you go up and you like do a really quick 80-degree turn, except for this thing has like weird banked turns and inversions on it, so it is a very weird ride.
Yeah, and that's kind of the intention of these L Loco models, is to be like an extreme wild mouse. So when we were describing like the elevated turnaround and stuff, like kind of picture yourself like on a wild mouse that just goes upside down. That's essentially what this is. So then after going into the first drop, you then pop up into I don't even know what to call it. You basically pop up and then you go into a 180-degree turn that's like not banked at all. Mm-hmm. So it's like really whippy and gives you a really good dose of laterals. You then hit a little trim break before entering in another 100-degree outer banked turn. Mm-hmm. So this kind of like banks you to the outside of the turn as you're going through it. But then so you do a 180-degree turn, outer banked, and then it banks the other way and does another 180-degree turn. And this is what sends you into the dive loop, I believe. So you actually bank into the turn. So you basically go through a banked turn. But then as you continue through the turn is when it kind of like slowly rolls you over. And by the time you're through the turn, you're actually completely upside down.
I think that's why I thought it was an inline twist, like you said, but in reality, it's just the flipping you upside down for the dive loop.
Exactly. And then the other kind of weird thing about this dive loop is you like go through a section of straight track before you actually like do the dive.
Yeah. It's so weird.
So you're like fully upside down for a solid like 4 seconds. And then this is when it sends you back towards the ground. And then you pop up into like an airtime hill, which sends you into a little trim break. You then go through another banked 180-degree turn, which then after the exit of it banks the other way. And that sends you into the inline twist, which is another very slow pace, like really drawn out inversion. And then it's not just a straight inline twist. It does have a slight like gradient to it towards the ground. It's like a very long, drawn out version of like the Iron Gwazi Death Roll, but with like less speed.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're only doing like the top speed of this coaster is 41 miles per hour. So at this point, you're probably doing like 20.
Yep.
It's just kind of like same thing. It just kind of like hangs you upside down for like a solid 4 seconds before descending all the way to the ground. You then pop up into an banked curve, which then sends you back towards the ground. You then pop up into the final breaks. It is a very, very interesting, a very unique layout. And the inversions are not like, obviously the dive loop, the end of it, you have some really, really good positive G's, but this roller coaster is really about actually airtime and hang time, which is just absolutely hilarious because this is technically a wild mouse.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We have learned now after going to a lot of like big Six Flags parks and then going to these like small little parks that maybe only have 3 or 4 roller coasters. These little parks end up having some of the craziest and wonkiest little coasters that are so much fun. And then I'm like, I know, I'm sure like maybe the weekends get busy and stuff, but every single time we also go, I feel like we hit it during the week and it's never really like insanely busy. We like, and so you get like a ton of rides on all these really fun coasters, and it's really cool to visit them.
Yeah, see, and I do remember riding it multiple times. I think we were just so focused on trying to find your cell phone, we don't necessarily remember them all.
Yeah.
We did do several laps on this roller coaster. And I just remember this is another coaster I always talk about. Like, you just get off and you're just laughing. You're just laughing.
Yes.
You're just like
yes.
a little bit like giggly when you get off the thing. And that's exactly what this roller coaster is all about. It's just so much fun. Like, it's just a fun, great time. Like, we're it's a coaster that a lot of different people can ride too. Like, you don't have to be this crazy, like, thrill-seeking, 300-foot tall, 90-mile-per-hour coaster. Like, it's just this fun little janky coaster with some like arrow triangle airtime hills and just some really wacky banking, and it's just so much fun. I love this roller coaster. It definitely makes me want to ride some more of the El Loco model roller coasters.
Yeah.
The one I can think of right away is the one in Vegas. So there's one in Vegas in like a dome.
Oh.
It's like, I can picture it. It's like bright yellow track. And that's the other thing too, is like these El Loco models do have slight variations or are completely different from each other. So like some of them are clones, and then some of them are kind of like more different.
Yep.
So, and that's the one that I do know a lot of people talk about is probably the most famous of the El Loco models. Here, Steelhog in Indiana, I think, kind of gets forgot about a little bit on that side of things. But yes, this roller coaster is definitely one you just don't scoff at. Like, it is just so much fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Indiana Beach too. I mean, we've mentioned it because of like Gabe said, Superstition Mountain roller coaster, but it's a really cool little park, and it's kind of like built out over the water. So it's like you have to go across this suspension bridge to get over there, and you walk out there, and it's like, we've said this a lot about a lot of other little parks, but a lot of little parks really follow this theme as like, it's just a county fair kind of theme that just also has to happen to have quite a few really cool roller coasters. And this was a really great start to that trip too. That was a really good trip when we went, actually. So
Indiana Beach is definitely one of the last, like, you could just feel that it's like a locally owned and ran amusement park. It has its problems, right? Like, it's not necessarily the nicest, not the newest. Sometimes isn't the cleanest, but like, it just has that really cool, like, small town vibe that I really, really like in an amusement park. Like, it doesn't feel like a corporate Six Flag or Cedar Fair owned, mega corporation amusement park. It does feel a little more like homey. It has a little more homey vibe to it.
Yes.
And then this roller coaster just kind of like, it almost feels like a homemade roller coaster. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
like it almost feels like somebody with a really, really good welder was just like, you know what? I'm just going to build a roller coaster and just kind of like, I'm not really going to measure anything. I'm just going to kind of weld pieces together from my junkyard and like just kind of piece this thing together. And then you get like this, but then it's like the high budget rich version of it.
It was this guy had a welder and went to the junkyard, except for he also had maybe a couple $1,000 sitting around to like, it actually invested it.
yeah, it's just a very wacky roller coaster. I like that word for this one. It's a wacky roller coaster.
It is a wacky coaster, and we had so much fun. So if you're ever in the area, driving through or something, do not skip this park. And the thing is we didn't even stay there the whole day because we had more driving to do afterwards. So it's like, it's a really easy thing to do in just a day if you really wanted to. So highly recommend.
I think we were there for like 5 hours. It's not a huge park, and especially like during the week, you can really just nail everything and get out if you need to. It's in a weird spot though, because it's not really between. I think the only parks it would technically quote unquote be between would be like Six Flags Great America and Kings Island, but even then it was a little bit out of the way.
It was. I remember that.
But between this and the Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain, definitely work. This is just the roller coaster capital of weird roller coasters.
Yes.
This is really, like, even their Woody is kind of strange, and it goes out over the river, and
yeah,
because then they have the second Woody, which just goes in circles. Like,
yeah.
It's just a weird roller coaster collection, and that's this is one of the ones that I really, really enjoyed out of it. It's probably the best coaster in the park.
Yeah, actually, that's a very valid statement.
I do really love Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain. That thing is just so weird. That takes the cake for a weird roller coasters. It really does. But that's a conversation for another time, I guess.
Right. So with that, let's switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to talk about my coaster, which is called Copperhead Strike, and it is a 2019 Mock Rides launch coaster at Carowinds. It's got a top height of 82 feet, a top speed of 50 miles per hour, and this guy's got 5 inversions and 2 launches. So
basically, we went from the backyard welder to the IT Ivy League student, like the best of the best, I don't know. That's kind of the transition we just made.
Yes, we did. So when we went to Carowinds, it was to get me on Fury, and we went there in November. So not everything at Carowinds was open. So what is the one I'm thinking of? It's the NASCAR one that they renamed. I don't even
Intimidator.
Yeah, so
Thunderstriker.
Yeah, Thunderstriker wasn't open. What is the Vekoma Dutchman that they closed, unfortunately?
Oh,
I know, spacing on the name.
Nighthawk.
So Nighthawk wasn't open.
Hey, Nighthawk. When we first started this entire podcast thing, Nighthawk was in my top 15, all right?
Mm-hmm, it was. I'm really sad that I didn't get to ride it, because I got to ride Batwing at Six Flags America, and
that was definitely a lot jankier.
Yeah. So I really wish I could have gotten a ride on it, but that's all right. So moral of the story, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think Nighthawk was already scheduled for demolition by the time we got there.
Oh,
that's why
dang.
It was closed. They basically weren't sticking any more money into it.
Yeah. Okay. Shame. So, but this is one of the ones that we got to ride while we were there. And like we were explaining in the intro, Gabe told me that this was a family coaster. And then I got off it and I was like, that's not a family coaster, but
I told you, technically speaking, it is.
It is. So I think in the world of coasters that have inversions and coasters that have launches, this is definitely a family version of it. It's not a Maverick. It's not certainly, goodness gracious, it's not a Top Thrill 2. It's not why am I spacing on the name of the one at Great America?
Max Force?
Thank you. Goodness gracious. So it's
trying to go after Storm Runner, but yeah,
no, and it's not a Storm Runner either. So the launch is, I think, is the initial one to 50 miles per hour. I don't actually know.
I don't even know. I know it's definitely the second one, because the second one's a rolling launch.
Yeah. So even like the initial launch from start to go isn't 50 miles per hour. But what this one has, and like what I'm calling my favorite inversion, is the JoJo roll. So
yes. The JoJo roll. Okay, sorry. Little side note here. Mm-hmm. The JoJo roll on this is way better than the JoJo roll on Hydra the Revenge.
Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. And I was wondering if part of it was because this was my first JoJo roll, but I'm like, I like this one a lot better. So that is one thing. It was the first time. Go ahead.
The two differences. The one on Hydra's Revenge actually has a little bit steeper grade to it, so it does kind of travel through it a little bit quicker. But then the other difference is the restraints.
Yeah.
On Hydra's the Revenge, you have the full over-the-shoulder B&M restraint, And on this, it's literally just a lap bar.
Mhm.
So it feels so much more like you're going to fall out of the damn thing on the roller coaster than it does on Hydra the Revenge. And
yes.
like I said, it's not quite as steep of a, and when I'm saying steep, I mean it's a very, very small difference, but it is enough that you can tell that it does travel through the elements slower.
Yes. So, but then the other thing with the inversions on this ride, so the 5 inversions it has is that Heartline roll or the JoJo roll right out of the station. It has 2 loops, a corkscrew, and a cutback. But the thing is, and I think you notice it the most in the loops, is between the size of the loops and the weight of the train. When you get to the apex of these loops, it like slows way down and you get like hang time in the top of these loops. It was such a weird sensation that I've never experienced on literally like any other roller coaster. It was so crazy. And it was funny because Gabe didn't tell me anything. So I just experienced this the first time on the roller coaster. And I was just like, I was immediately like, Gabe, how did that work? Why was it doing that? That was crazy. So this is a really fun roller coaster. Okay. Yeah, this is another one that
basically the loops are not like the teardrop shaped loops that you're used to, like on, more modern roller coasters. They have more concentric circle style design that Schwarzkopf is so famous for.
Yeah.
What they do on Copperhead Strike versus the Schwarzkopfs is like the Schwarzkopfs fly through their vertical loops to the point where you're just like shoved in your seat the entire time, and then you get to really experience that drastic change in G-forces as you go through it, where these are like perfectly sized to where like you get to the top of the loop and you feel like you're almost going to stall out. It's almost closer to a stall than a vertical loop, because you do get that hang time.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, though, is like a 0G stall is not hang time. A 0G stall, at least a good one, a good 0G stall like actually is 0 Gs, like it kind of floats you there, where this is more of like an actual like hang dangle type feeling.
Yep.
So like even to call it a stall is not quite exactly what these elements are. It's just a very unique, like you said, it's a very unique loop. It's a very unique feature on this roller coaster, and it has 2 of them.
Yeah. So we did find out, though, it's better in the front row, right?
Yes. So this is definitely a front row roller coaster just for the airtime. Pretty much for the airtime, and then the G-forces actually feel way more forceful in the front of this roller coaster.
Yes. So without further ado, I'll get into a quick layout of this guy. So you start with that Heartline roll out of the station, like we said, the JoJo roll, and it's beautiful. And that brings you into a right turn, and that goes into a barn, because Copperhead Strike is themed after a copperhead snake. So, and the whole premise is that you're like a moonshiner and you have stills in your barn. So and this barn functions as where the first launch track is, and you stop completely and then you're launched forward and you're shot straight into that first vertical loop where you get, like we said, some crazy hang time at the apex, which then leads you into a straight airtime hill and then into the corkscrew. You then head into a banked right turn that transitions into a left banked turn where you then head into another airtime hill, but you're still sort of like banked at the top, and then you straighten back out to come back down, and then you hit the second launch track, which has a little airtime pop in it, and that launches you into a twisting cutback where you get some nice hang time again, and then you drop down into a 90-degree banked left turn before heading into the final inversion, which is another vertical loop that drops you into, I called it a stangle dive. I must have been doing research. I haven't looked at these notes. And I said, basically you head straight into it, and at the apex, it banks you to the right 90 degrees and brings you back down. I think when I was looking at it, I thought it was like, it's like a weird banked airtime is basically what it is. And then the final,
very aggressive element, though.
Yes.
Like even when you watch the POV, you can tell the way I would describe it is you kind of like you kind of like pop up into like an airtime moment, and then you almost overbank and dive towards the ground. So like you basically bank past 90 degrees, and it kind of hangs you out of your seat a little bit, and then it like snaps back.
Yeah.
You basically like snap over past 90 degrees, and then you snap back. So it's not quite an inversion, it's not quite a banked turn, but then it has like an airtime hill going into it.
Yeah.
Like you come up into your airtime hill, and then the track kind of snaps to the one direction and banks to the other. So basically the train's going one direction, but then twisting the opposite direction. So it creates a really, really nice snap, like lateral type feeling. And then you basically then snap back as you dive back towards the ground. It's like a double snapping element. It's a very, very aggressive element. though.
Yes.
Like you need to be prepared for it. It's not a graceful transition. That's for sure.
See, this is why I need you here, Gabe. You can explain this stuff better than I can. So as you return back to the ground, you are still slightly banked to the right as you come up into the next airtime moment, and it transitions into a 90-degree banked left turn as you head back towards the ground. You then head into an S curve. And I said it starts to the right, then transitions to the left, really low to the ground, but it's pretty drawn out. So it's not as snappy as the Stengel dive we were describing before, and which leads into a left turn, like leads into this big sweeping 180-degree while ascending, and then it descends and it transitions into a banked right turn very low to the ground. So you've got some good speed there before coming back up into another banked left turn that heads into the ground again to stand you into a final standard airtime hill, and then a little pop into those final brakes. So
this is a roller coaster that really builds.
Yeah.
Like, and I've talked about this, like, a lot of times when you get to the end of the layout, especially with Woodies or, Gigas or Hypers, whatever, you get to the end, you're just kind of like, wee. Okay,
yes.
done. Wee. Like, okay, is this really necessary at this point? Wee. Like, you're just kind of like, eh. And it's not the coaster's fault. It's the fact that they, tried to drag out as much track and elements as they could. And you get to the end and it kind of dies out a little. Oh, what's a coaster? I'm trying to think of a coaster that's a really good example of that. I'd say like an American Eagle kind of does that at the end, kind of dies out a little bit.
Yeah.
Or coasters that kind of like have to go uphill at the end too.
Yep. I was thinking of Superman Kryptonite at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. It has a good inversion, but weren't we talking about that second half? Like, wasn't too great because the drop is really good.
I remember it being way better the first time I rode it. So
yeah, that's a good point.
That was coming from.
That was my experience on it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. I can think of a coaster, but I can't think of the name of it. Like,
yep.
It's coasters that have to like get back up to their station level. Sometimes have that problem where like they just run out of speed at the end. And anyway, this coaster is like the complete opposite. Like it just kind of builds and builds and builds because like you get that first launch, and that first launch is actually very disappointing. It's not a launch that's going to throw you into the seat or take your breath away or give you the butterflies. It's like just literally like, hey, let's get this roller coaster rolling. And then you kind of go through that. You go through the first vertical loop, and you're like, wow, that was insane hang time. But it was insane because this coaster's not going fast. Like,
yep.
So then you kind of go through that first like little back session. You get some good airtime, a little bit of really nice like G-force moments, but they're not really sustained. And then you hit that second launch, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this coaster's actually got something. Like we're picking up some speed now. And you kind of go through that. You go through the cutback, and you get some more hang time. So you get and I think that's the tallest point on the roller coaster is that cutback, because then you're like really dragged out through that element, and then you kind of dive back down and you get really dragged out through the second vertical loop. But then you shoot out of that second vertical loop and you hit that like snap element, and then everything after that, all hell breaks loose. Like from that moment on, it's just like, whippy transition, snappy transition, G-forces, airtime, whippy transition, G-forces, whippy transition, and then you're at the end and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like, and I think that's where that reaction comes from. Like you were saying, like you got off, you're like, okay, what just happened to me? And that's because it kind of lulls you to sleep. Like, kind of like, it really does at the beginning feel like a family coaster. Like this isn't that intense. And then by the time you go through the second launch and the last two inversions, you're just cruising through and it builds in the pacing too, because like kind of like gets very slow element, and then you hit that launch. You're like, wait a minute, hold on, we got something here. And it's like kind of the same thing. It's like element. Like they're not really cohesive, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you rip through that like back third of the layout and it's just like bam, 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 and then you're in the final breaks, you're like, whoa,
yeah,
hold on, that was not a family coaster. I was dead wrong, actually.
Yep. That's like, I explained a lot of elements, but like Gabe said, that is literally the last third of this entire roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
And you just, like you said, you whip through it so fast. And like watching the POV, I'm like, I don't even remember half of this stuff. Like, what the heck?
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it kind of, like I said, the first launch, the first inversion, you know, the first couple like little jumpy elements. Like I said, there's I do know the airtime hill coming out of the first vertical loop in the front row is insane ejector. Like it launches you into the restraint. But then even after that, like I said, it just kind of lollygags around a little bit. And I feel like it's intentional. Like that's exactly what they were going for, was like let's kind of like just give them a gentle start, and then we'll give them a second launch to kind of like build the thrill a little bit, and then we're just gonna rip their faces off at the end.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This is a really good coaster, like a really good stepping stone if you got some kids and you're trying to like get them into like bigger, badder roller coasters, because this is definitely like a smaller version. It goes upside down, but the inversions themselves aren't too crazy, and then that back section is like really, really like fast paced and all these forces hit you and all that stuff. So, and if a kid likes that, you know, okay, we can start going on some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the JoJo roll at the beginning. If you can get your little budding roller coaster enthusiast to brave that initial inversion, which is the best inversion on the roller coaster, by the way, they can definitely start working their way up, because that's a very, like, even just visually watching that roller coaster come out of the station, it's intimidating.
Yes.
Like, if you're not a roller coaster enthusiast, or you're just, some people just don't like going upside down or are afraid to do that part of it, roller coastering. Like, it's a very, very intimidating image to watch. Like, as you're standing in the station, you just look over, this roller coaster just slowly rolling upside down. Like,
yes, and it's so slow, which makes it so good. Because like Gabe just said, it's like you literally hang there for so freaking long. And then the other thing too is like, yeah, of course you're upside down for like a good portion of it, but even the like really slow section where you're like creeping upside down, you hit that point where you're like already in your restraints, and then the same thing coming back out of it, you're like still in your restraints until you're fully right side back up. So that whole thing is just hang time the entire time.
Yes. It's a very good roller coaster. It really is. It's not a coaster that's going to break any, records or a top 15 or something like that. But it's just once again, it's just a coaster that's really fun, really kind of just makes you laugh when you get off of it. It's just a very enjoyable roller coaster. Definitely, I will say this, between the two, it's Copperhead Strike's probably a little smoother. I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing in this situation,
right?
And I don't know.
we like a good little jinky wacky roller coaster.
Oh yeah, every now and then you just gotta get your bones rattling a little bit,
Yeah, exactly. I think that, unfortunately, Gabe, that brings us to the end of our episode here.
Yeah, we're kind of once again we're reaching that 45-minute mark. We got to really start cutting these back a little bit.
I've just accepted the fact that they're going to be 40 minutes.
Yeah, I suppose. I'll let you pick your winner first.
I have to go with Copperhead Strike. I really love Copperhead Strike. Yes.
I really convinced you on the whole Steel Hog thing.
There They're
right,
both really good, okay?
Here's my question, though. Are we basing it off the inversion?
Oh.
Or are we basing it off the entire ride experience?
Okay, so I think back when we did Best First Drop, we took the whole coaster into consideration.
Oh, darn it.
So
overall, I obviously Copperhead Strike is probably the better roller coaster 9 days out of 10.
mm-hmm.
But Steel Hog, I'm sorry, that dive loop is better than any inversion you can find on ironically speaking, we both picked roller coasters whose inversions focus on hang time, and that should really tell you everything you need to know about our roller coaster opinions.
Actually, that's a very good point.
That dive loop, though, it's insane. It's just so, and it's just like how you just kind of like roll. It's kind of like the JoJo roll. Almost.
Yeah, it really kind of is, though, because of how slow you enter it. And then, like you said, that straight piece of track where you're kind of just sitting there and you're like, am I actually going to go down the dive loop? Like, geez.
Yeah, it's what's weird about it, though, is it's actually, I think it's longer. I think it holds you upside down even longer than the JoJo roll does.
I think it does.
That's just a hilarious thing to think about.
Yes, it actually is. All right.
Can we call it a tie? Let's call it a tie.
Yeah, actually, this is the perfect one to make our tie episode. We're doing it. I'm calling it right here. This one is ending in a tie.
Tie. Both are family coasters, technically.
Yes, technically speaking.
You know, it was funny when we started this episode, I picked the coaster for this episode. I was like, man, these coasters couldn't be any more different. And at the end of the episode, we're like, actually, no, they're pretty much the same in ride experience.
Yep. That's fabulous.
Just with slightly different budgets.
Exactly. That's hilarious. Alrighty then. So I think we should maybe get into our schedule a little bit now that we're back and we're going to be finishing out our season.
Hopefully, not on wood. Prayer. Roll some dice.
Cross your fingers and your toes.
Yeah, definitely your toes. That's a requirement.
Exactly. But our next episode coming out is going to be a special episode, and we're doing it on 100-year-old roller coasters.
You're telling me I'm actually going to have to do some research? This is bullshit.
I thought you just knew everything, Gabe.
No, this is what I'm actually going to have to look. Well, because I want to know how many coasters have ever actually been on that hit the 100-year-old mark. Yeah. And I know there's quite a few that I haven't been on that I'm actually going to have to look up.
That's a good point.
This is actually going to take some effort on my part.
Okay. I didn't really do any research on coasters we haven't ridden. I just looked up the ones that we had ridden. And then I looked up just general roller coaster history because I'm like, how did roller coasters start? And then how did we get to building them in the 1920s of all things?
Yeah, right.
Yes. So, but looking out a little bit further, we're going to have our next battles episode on coasters that moved up in our rankings for 2025. And that's going to be a fun little matchup.
Yeah.
And then
that's an underdog matchup if I've ever seen one.
It really is. But your coaster I'm excited to talk about because we've never really
very much.
Yeah. So and the episode after that will be what we're calling the RCDB challenge. So me and Gabe have talked about this website before. It's called Roller Coaster Database. It's where we go to get a lot of the basic stats for roller coasters that we're talking about. And when you initially pull up the website, it just automatically loads in a random roller coaster. So what me and Gabe did is we both refreshed the page until it hit a coaster that we had ridden. And so that's going to be another weird matchup that seems very random, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, that is probably the most intriguing matchup we've had in a long time because those two coasters are going to be very, very close.
Yeah, very actually. Close. That's going to be a fun one. Ooh, I'm excited now.
Yeah.
So I suppose with that, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Join us next week for our 100-year-old coaster episodes, and we'll see y'all next week.
Send us more suggestions. We'll take them all. And I hope you all have a great day.